Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I'm really happy to have you here again. And the funny thing is, yesterday I haven't had the opportunity to make another episode of the podcast. So, fortunately, I did it some days ago so that I have episode for yesterday. And yesterday, as I was in the bus, I was just like, I would really like to make a podcast today, but I couldn't. And so I'm happy to be here now to learn something and to give you some value. My name is Christopher Walch or Walk, whatever English native speaker would say, and I'm 17-year-old graphic design student from Austria, and I'm your host, and I'm really happy to have you here. And as you might see in the background, and I hope you can't really read it, but nevertheless, you have to trust me there. You are the average of the 10 people you spend time with. Here are 5 tips to curate great people. I do not know what curate means. I don't know. Never mind. So your mom was right. You are the company you keep. So this kind of text, I never read this one because I think that's go away. Thank you. That's I don't need to. So the first thing is to ask people some sort of is what motivates them. Do they know what motivates you? And if it's like they are motivated by something else than you are, it might not work out as good as you wanted it to. Because let's say if they are really into fashion and they are really motivated to look good all the time, it might not be something good for you, might not be something good. I will do everything in quotes because, or in quotation marks, sorry, because, I believe in that you are the average of the people you're hanging around with. But I would say if you have one friend, that's maybe not really your has not your motivation or some sort of this, it won't do you any harm. So I guess you shouldn't just take it all in, or maybe you should, because if you take this step, it might be better, but I don't know. And I really want to say this, that I don't really know because I didn't have the experience. And so I'm reading this with you. I'm just learning with you, some sort of. I quite know a little bit already, but there's all the time something to learn. But nevertheless, which I use wrong all the time, it means anyways. Let's read what they say. If you and another person have somewhat aligned motivations, or at least understand each other's motivations, this is very nice that they say that at least you should understand, or they should understand your motivation. I would say that it will do you harm if they just can't understand you, some sort of. Because then it's always like, why you're doing this right now, this isn't working, and so on, because they do not understand what you are thinking or what you are about to do. But I'm sorry for interrupting. You can truly help each other out when an opportunity presents itself in either of your lives. Motivation is also something that needs consistent fuel to stay lit. So having people around you who understand that and feed it can keep your energy and productivity at a high level. And that's totally true. If you're hanging around with people that are just really, for example, abusing drugs, the chance that you are abusing drugs as well because you just do not know something better is much higher. This is something I believe in. It depends on how long or how often do you hang around with these people, but and it also depends on how your character is, because I myself have people that are smoking and somewhat, and I do not smoke. I will never, hopefully, because I think it's not good for me, and it's not good for anybody. And I say it to them, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't, hang around with them. So that there might be the chance that I start smoking because of them. I just, I'm really self-aware, and I'm really clear of what I want and what I need. And so yeah, how do they measure their own success? This is a nice one. We all have different views of success. Is it just making money? For me, it's about being a good dad, husband, boss, and let's be honest, making some money. If the people around you measure success similarly, then they will challenge you in ways that decrease your success in what matters to you. I want people around me who will encourage me to be a good dad and call me out when I could be better. It's easy to gravitate toward viewing success as others perceive it. So it's important to deliberately spend time with others who measure success the same way you do. And what they say, and something I really want to point out, is they will challenge you. I think that's a quite important aspect, that you have, that you are hanging around with people. Sorry for using this word all the time, but I can't think of something else so fast. That challenge you, because if you're hanging around with people there that are, not as good as you are, you will never be challenged to be better than you are now. And because there is no challenge, there is no competition. And competition is what also is said in How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, the book, that competition is really something that can fuel you with, enthusiasm, or, fuel, some sort of, it can fuel you with fuel. That's a nice one, yeah. But nevertheless, I hope you got what I wanted to tell you. But let's move on, and I hope I'm not too fast, so I'm slowing a little bit down so that you get more out of it, and so I can make it a little bit clearer. Do you get a sense of loyalty from them? Yeah. Now I want to be clear that blind loyalty, where someone just agrees with you all the time or always has your back, even when you're really wrong, is not what I'm talking about. That's true, and I would say that you should never be someone like this, because just agreeing and saying yes, if they, for example, need critics, if they, so I'm a graphic design student, and when someone comes up to me and says, what do you think about this, I don't know, letter design I made? And then I will look at it and say the truth about it. If it's really that good, and if it's really nothing to point out, and if there is really nothing I would say that could be done better, I would say, yeah, it's just pretty cool. That's really something you have to look at, to always give truth, critiques, and something they can work with. And also, how should I say, I just lost my point. Just do not criticize, just tell them in every kind of your, or every area of your life, because if you criticize somebody, sorry for being so loud, if you criticize somebody, they only will justify themselves and why it is like it is, and there is really nothing good about it. It just doesn't get you further. It just makes a break, and you get more behind than you were. So I would say, and really polite and really not mean. Do not be mean when criticizing or telling them what they can do better. But yeah, let's move on. is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about loyalty in the sense of that people are there for you when you need them. You know that they will look out for your best interests. You can always have a down-to-earth, truthful conversation, and they won't flip on you for personal gain. As simple as this sounds, it's sometimes hard to find people you can trust like this. There's a lot of self-interest out there. So when you find people with the potential for this kind of loyalty, latch onto them. And it's really nice that they say that self-interest is really something that's popular or was popular all the time, because I've said this often, but if you keep attention to what people say and how they act, they often talk about themselves and really like to talk about themselves, because often people think that they're that interesting. And on the other hand, they really blame anybody, really anybody but themselves. And I can understand this. You do not want to be the guy who fucked it up. I know it, I can understand it. But that's really something you have to, keep attention to. And listen to what people are saying is really interesting. But nevertheless, there are only 2 more points. And I hope that might be fine. That might be fine. Will they make you better? It correlates with what I said before, that having friends that challenge you would be nice, because you get further in your life. And it's also something, if you think about you're the average of the 10 person, let's say 10 because it's nice. If you are the average of the 10 person you're hanging around with, and then you think about if you're hanging around with 10, let's say, abusive in terms of drugs, people which aren't making that more money, or which are making less money than you, and which aren't as motivated as you, and just drag you down. This won't do you any good. And if you're hanging around with people that are just, they're just really motivated, and they really got further in their lives, and they are making way more money than you are doing right now. It's just really good, because you, first of all, can learn a lot from them. It's something called osmosis, if I'm right, which means that you simply learn by watching others. As easy as it is. And it's one of the best ways to learn something, to watch them. And but if you can watch them, you'll learn this automatically. And if you're in a group of the same interests and which are really motivated, you will talk about things that motivate them, so they will talk about them. And if you're in this kind of circle or group, you get inspired and so on. But let's say what they are saying. Do the people around you have skills you don't have that could be valuable? And that's what I said about learning. There's also a big difference between a helpful person who looks to challenge you and a yes man or woman, which basically means, I guess, that they only say yes. Also, cultivate people who look out for ways that you can learn. For example, one of my close entrepreneur friends had a tax situation come up with this company, so he sent me a few articles and a brief explanation of things I should look out for. I really appreciate that he would take the time to try to help me learn about something that wasn't on my radar at all. And I would say you should be this person as well. Just do not look at yourself all the time. Look at others and try to help others. And really be nice to everybody you meet. Just give them a smile if you're shaking someone's hand. It will make their day way better. Just imagine if you are smiling at someone you don't really know, a stranger, and they will be thinking about this all day long. Maybe they will be like, why did he smile at me? or why did she smile at me? And it would be something nice because they don't know, and maybe they will never know. But nevertheless, let's move on to the last point. And yeah, are they capable of giving and receiving transparent feedback? Which is what I meant before, that you should give critiques or feedback that's valuable, and others can get something out of it. If you could ask if a design is great, and if you just say no it isn't, it's just not a good feedback. If you say no it isn't because the font you're using isn't that good because this and that, or the colors do not match, or the picture could be another one because this feels different than the intention the picture itself or the design itself wanted to make or give. But let's move to the text and what they are saying. Transparent feedback is very hard to give, but it's vital to making someone better and having a healthy relationship. Self-awareness is a gift, but it is extremely hard to have it unless you also have people around you willing to give you transparent feedback to help you. There are a lot of times when I felt like something I said or did was perfectly normal, but a friend or coworker did me the favor of saying, "I think that was taken the wrong way." It's good to improve your own self-awareness, but sometimes it takes others to help you out with that. Take some time to write down the 10 people you spend most of your time with. Do they meet at least some of these criteria? You may also want to think of your own list of criteria and whether the people closest to you fit them. If not, it might make sense to re-evaluate the people you're surrounding yourself with. And that's a really good point. You should really re-evaluate them. Which means for me, if I get it right, and I hope I do this, that you shouldn't, make a full stop of meeting these people which aren't really, how do I say, aren't really fitting to your criteria, but you just prefer other people instead, which is, but really, really hard if you just, your best friend is that person that is not giving you great feedback and isn't really fitting your criteria. This is a very bad situation. Then it's just really about, I think, and I hope that I do not have this choice anytime in my life, because it's really hard even to think about it. And if you are in this situation, I'm very sorry for you, and for making decisions that could be hurting someone or something. But nevertheless, just prefer somebody else. It's just said pretty easily, but it isn't, over someone else that's not really fitting your criteria. And unfortunately, this episode ended there, and I'm now 18 minutes in, and if you see, I've just put there a light so that I'm a little bit more in the picture. You can see me a little bit better, because without this it's just really dark, and I think it's nice. So at the end I will just read all the headlines again so that you get some kind of summary. What motivates them? Do they know what motivates you? Is the first one. How do they measure their own success? Is the second one. Do you get a sense of loyalty from them? Is the third one. And will they make you better? Is the fourth one. And the fifth one is, are they capable of giving and receiving transparent feedback? And if you're really into this article, it's from Inc.com and by John Hall, which is CEO and co-founder, Influence, and Co. And this article is called "You Are the Average of the 10 People You Spend Time With. Here are 5 tips to create great people," from the Inc. Website, and from October 21st of 2018. And I'm really thankful for you listening to me, and I really enjoyed this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. You get something out of it, and I hope, and I would say you have, but that's my opinion. If there's something, just down in the description or in the podcast description, there will always be my links to any social media platform you really like. And then I would say just DM me or something, just or write a comment if there are any questions or if you want to say something. And for now, I'm thankful for you to listen to me, and have a really nice day. Bye.